David Lammy is a national embarrassment. An illegal migrant sex offender from Algeria was mistakenly released from prison a week ago. He found out about it last night. The Deputy Prime Minister and current Justice Secretary then strode into Parliament without a poppy on, and then boasted about how important Remembrance Sunday is.
Well, it's great to see the Honourable Gentleman in his place. I had expected to see the Shadow Justice Secretary, but nevertheless, I'm pleased to see the Honourable Gentleman.
What a smarmy thing to say. Someone then told him he wasn't actually wearing a poppy, so he had to borrow a poppy from a fellow Labour MP who is an RAF veteran. So David Lammy took a poppy off an actual veteran. I mean, it's brilliant, isn't it? You couldn't make it up. Then he was asked about whether or not any more asylum seeker criminals had been accidentally released.
Will he apologise to the family concerned?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, it's great to see the Honourable Gentleman in his place. I had expected to see the Shadow Justice Secretary, but nevertheless, I'm pleased to see the Honourable Gentleman. He must have missed the debate, because in the debate, of course, I said sorry for the anxiety caused whilst Kibatu was at large, and I repeat that.
So just bear in mind how confident, how smug, how dismissive he is there. He was asked 5 times, and then he just kept getting more and more angry.
Well, the House is thankfully quiet, so I'm surprised the Honourable Gentleman didn't hear me when I said that, of course, I apologise. After his release, I put in place the toughest checks we've ever had in the prison system. I'm the Justice Secretary, that's why I'm at the dispatch box, also as Deputy Prime Minister. We know that. We've deported more in the last year than they deported in the last 5 years. Please, I'm not going to take any lecture from the Honourable Gentleman. 13,000 more bobbies we are putting on the streets, kicking out 5,000 foreign criminal offenders. I've got to say to the Honourable Gentleman, he should do better.
This is cinema, because minutes later, news broke that an Algerian illegal migrant called Brahim Kadour Sharif was on the run. It then emerged that David Lammy, the whole time he was talking there, getting very angry, had a pre-prepared statement about that Algerian sex criminal in front of him, but chose not to read it out. Well, unfortunately for David Lammy, we've got a copy of his statement. There it is, written in colourful crayons and nice big handwriting, just for Mr. Lammy. Anyway, when GBNews asked why he didn't read it out, we got this response. David Lammy believed it would have been irresponsible to talk about the mistaken release of a second foreign prisoner while details were still emerging. He declined to answer repeated questions about whether any further migrants were released because he didn't want to complicate the case involving multiple agencies. Well, this has now been rubbished by the actual Met Police, who have thrown Mr. Lammy under the bus. They've said that they had no problem with him releasing the details, there were no operational issues, and they're frustrated that he actually used the police as an excuse for not revealing he knew everything about this Algerian sex criminal being on the run in Parliament. And can I just say, literally in the last, 3 or 4 minutes, this has come through to me. It's been reported in the Times. David Lammy refused to come back and answer more questions in the House of Commons over the accidental release of this Algerian sex criminal, despite being specifically asked to by the Speaker of the House of Commons because he thought it would be, quote, career suicide. Well, maybe he has got one thing right. I mean, he's in big trouble here, big trouble. But it isn't the first time that David Lammy has been made to look like an idiot by the police.
If it feels like neighbourhood policing has vanished, it's not around you. We haven't seen a police while I've been here, and I've been here for a little while now.
Yesterday, Mr. Lammy was humiliated after a French court acquitted a taxi driver of trying to steal his and his wife's luggage and diplomatic passports. David Lammy is accused of leaving the back of that guy's taxi looking like a pigsty, complaining about the, quote, effing French, and not wanting to pay for the journey. David Lammy is an ocean-going, weapons-grade embarrassment, but we knew that, didn't we? He thought that Henry VII succeeded Henry VIII to the English throne.
Who acceded to the English throne at the age of 9 on the death of his father Henry VIII in 1547?
Henry VII.
Edward VI.
He mixed up his colours and his cheeses.
Which variety of blue English cheese traditionally accompanies port?
Leicester.
Stilton.
Red Leicester, yeah. Which blue cheese? Anyway. He thought that Marie Antoinette cured cancer.
What was the married name of the scientists Marie and Pierre who won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1903 for their research into radiation?
Antoinette.
Curie.
And he doesn't even know what a pipette is.
Chemistry, what French word is used for a tube for transferring measured amounts of liquids?
Pass.
Every time he opens his mouth, he drops a massive clanger. Here he is on Nigel Farage.
I will leave it for the public to come to their own judgments about someone who once flirted with Hitler Youth when he was younger. That is for the public.
People have to follow him around with a big mop and bucket, telling him to clean up his own mess.
I will leave it for the public to come to their own judgments about someone who once flirted with Hitler Youth when he was younger. That is for the public.
Yeah, he then had to go out and apologise for that. The spectacle of seeing David Lammy anywhere near high office is humiliating for all of us. It humiliates Britain at home. It humiliates us on the world stage. I think he should apologise to us all. But, you know, is an apology really good enough?
As Caribbean people, we are not going to forget our history. We don't just want to hear an apology, we want reparation.
Now, that's a good idea, David. Let's have some reparations for having to suffer through David Lammy. Let's get the thoughts of my panel. Got Director of Popular Conservatives Mark Littlewood, pub landlord and activist Adam Brooks, and journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov. Mark, David Lammy is, I think, absolute, complete and utter toast. And I've never seen a more shocking performance in British politics, genuinely.
It's embarrassing, his performance at Prime Minister's Questions, absolutely embarrassing and completely inexplicable. It seems to me completely obvious what he should have said or could have said if he didn't want to release the information there and then. He should have said something like, as the honourable gentleman will know, about 150 people in total a day are released from prisons in England and Wales. I can't give a running commentary on all of them. If he has any information he wishes to share with me, then I would like him to do it over the dispatch box. Instead, he just blows a fuse, loses it. I mean, it was absolutely embarrassing that anyone would behave in that angry, intemperate and frankly ludicrous way on the government benches. And, I mean, in terms of your whole series of Lammy gaffes, I wish you'd used the mastermind question, in which he was asked which famous fortress in Paris was used as a prison, and he said, the Palace of Versailles.
Yeah.
If he thinks the Palace of Versailles is a prison, this might explain a lot. It's one of the most luxurious, gorgeous buildings in Europe.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just ludicrous and embarrassing, and I just don't know why someone hasn't told him to dial it down a bit.
Or retire.
Yeah.
I mean, no, seriously, the guy should be nowhere near frontline politics. He is an embarrassment.
I don't even think the man should be in Parliament, but there's many MPs there now that I don't think should be there and should represent anyone. I think UK politics is an embarrassment worldwide now. And let's remember, he got made to look very awkward in front of Donald Trump because of the things that he called him over the past years, and then had to basically suck up to him.
Can I just ask you before we go on to Nina, are you annoyed that the whole time that David Lammy is there getting more and more angry about this, it's now emerged that he had a piece of paper in front of him with a pre-prepared statement about the Algerian sex criminal who he knew had been released. He then deliberately didn't answer it, got enraged, and then was asked to come back to the House of Commons and correct the record or answer more questions on it by the Speaker, and apparently refused to do so.
In my opinion, he's misled Parliament there, and he's not doing his job as a parliamentarian. I think that's a disgrace, and I think Keir Starmer should have a word, or something should happen to him for not going back when asked to. But let's remember, this is the man that thought men can grow a cervix.
Yeah.
You know, this is the man that told Parliament that Libya was next to Syria.
Yeah.
This man is incompetent. David Lammy should not be in government, end of.
Nina, has he got to go here, or even for his own sake, more than anything else? I mean, you know, he's one gaffe away. I mean, the guy's already a laughingstock, isn't he?
Well, if we're talking about specifically his job now, he's been in the job since September the 5th. OK? So you cannot blame the state of the prisons, the fact that there are prisoners absconding, on him. That is not specifically his fault. Let's be fair to him. It's not, is it?
Well, no, but he should have revealed it.
Okay, no.
He was asked about
the
it
question.
5 times.
Well, I'm trying to be fair to him because obviously he's not the sharpest pencil in the box.
Right.
He's very. At the same time, he's fairly intelligent, but he's just not smart. Put it that way.
Right.
Okay.
But how Nina, do you think it's the case that he's got this pre-prepared statement in front of him? He's asked a factual question.
Yep.
He wasn't asked whether it was his fault or whether he'd accept blame.
I understand.
He was simply asked a factual question, and he's got in front of him a piece of A4 with the answer on it.
Because he was
burst into a fury?
Because he knew he was blustering, wasn't he? He was trying to cover up. He was trying not to answer.
Why didn't he just say, actually, I've got a pre-prepared statement here?
Because he's perhaps not that fleet of foot to do that.
The thing is, he should be.
Because the thing is, look, let's go back to John Prescott a little while ago. He was asked, was there another asylum seeker? And to be fair to him, technically, it's not another. I know that's a. So
you correct Hartledge, and you say it's not an asylum seeker. It was a migrant.
I'll just say what David Lammy put as a post on X, and I'm not making this up. He put this out about an hour ago. Proud to be the first black person to answer at Prime Minister's questions, and he's just done it. Totally shameless. Totally shameless. Not only did he not answer anything, I'm not really sure. If I was David Lammy, I'd be lying low for a while. And by the way, can I say that I think there are members of the black community out there who will not be thanking him for drawing attention to the fact that that was the first performance.
But let's remember, when he was Foreign Secretary, just weeks into the job, he caused a diplomatic row between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Yeah. This man is a calamity. And at one point in this Parliament, he could get Britain in so much trouble. I mean, the reparations thing, no one agrees with him on that.
I mean, many people agree with him about reparations, and you can't make...
Not anyone with a brain.
I'm saying, I think people of different colours and different races will disagree with you entirely. There are whole nations that disagree with you in the Caribbean. So
I'm not surprised. I'd want several billion pounds as well.
Let's not make these sweeping statements. It's nothing to do with brains or not brains.
Okay.
And David Lammy, we're talking about a Deputy Prime Minister.
Yeah.
If you cast your mind back to John Prescott, he was certainly not the brain of Britain.
No, his syntax was bad, but his brain was functioning.
His brain was functioning, but he wasn't by any means an academic.
No, of course not.
Absolutely.
We can't ignore the fact, and despite the fact that Sir Keir Starmer will never admit this publicly, David Lammy was the Foreign Secretary, and we all remember Sir Keir Starmer saying that David Lammy would remain as Foreign Secretary for the duration of this Parliament, no matter what. And he obviously realised that he was useless. And I speak to people who work in the civil service and in the Foreign Office, and they tell me some unbelievable horror stories about David Lammy, just unmitigated incompetence. And Keir Starmer has demoted him to justice, and then he's basically Deputy Prime Minister by proxy until a woman that Keir Starmer sacked and hates comes in to take that role, to sit there next to him. I mean, the whole thing's a complete farce,
But here's the thing, Patrick, don't you think once Keir Starmer has seen that footage, he'll think twice about leaving the country again? Because if that's the person representing the Labour government in Starmer's absence, he cannot have that happening again.
We're laughing. This is a circus of a government, and the only people that suffer are us. So those politicians making their mistakes and embarrassing themselves, it's us that suffer because they make decisions for us. Yeah. It's just a calamity government.
I mean, based on everything you've ever seen from David Lammy and now this, do you trust that he can, if we acknowledge that our prison system, and you're right, by the way, to, the Tories obviously did not, I don't think did any favours whatsoever to our prison system, to say the least. But it is now knackered and it needs serious reform to it. I mean, David Lammy is obviously not the man for that job, is he?
He is. I think he will actually put his back into it. I really do, because he knows he's got to prove himself in some way and to kind of counteract all this idiotic other stuff. I think he'll knuckle down and do it. The trouble is, the Home Office is absolutely not fit for purpose. I've said it. I'm bored saying it for years. But the thing is, somebody, Shabana Mahmood will somehow get her hands on that and turn it around, and then hopefully David Lammy will sort something out with the prison.
The wish is the father of the thought there, right? I mean, he has not expressed a single coherent message on how he thinks the prison system should be reformed. Not one.
He's had 8 weeks.
You've got 8 weeks. I want one sentence from it. One coherent sentence.
I know you alluded to this earlier, Adam, which is there is the faintest whiff of an attempted cover-up here. So David Lammy has been presented with a message about this illegal migrant on the run. And he's being asked, I appreciate, he's being asked about an asylum seeker. He wasn't being asked technically about an illegal migrant. I think we're dealing with semantics there. And he's chosen not to tell the public about it. He's chosen not to address it to Parliament. I mean, that, for me, I'm just thinking about if I was David Lammy in that situation, the reason, if we're being honest, that I wouldn't have done that is because I was hoping it would go away and I could get away. We'd catch this guy within a couple of hours and I'd never have to tell the public about it. And that really is a cover-up.
It is, and let's remember, the subject that is on everyone's lips at the moment are foreign sex cases and our asylum system, our immigration system and our prison system.
Yeah.
What was he thinking not bringing this up? What? Well,
so
I can't comprehend it.
Very final thing on this, sorry, Nina, but a bit pressed time, is to claim that they care about the safety of women and girls, as many people in the Labour Party have done, and then to be presented with an opportunity to hold up the face of a sex offender to the nation and say, right, this guy's out and about, we're not entirely sure what it is. Watch out. And to deliberately not do that is pretty awful.
Well, we don't know. He says that he wasn't given all the facts. You can't suddenly just hold someone's face up unless you're 100% sure this is the man, this is the right thing.
He's got it on paper in front of him.
Yeah, but you don't know that.
It might have been this, that when James Cartledge was asking him about an asylum seeker and he saw on his notes, well, it's not an asylum seeker, it's a migrant, that he started to query whether the information in front of him was right. But I question whether his brain acts that quickly.
Well, he shouldn't be an MP then. He shouldn't be representing us.
All right, well, look, no doubt there'll be some monumental David Lammy fallout, not just on the front pages, which I'll reveal to you shortly, but I would imagine over the course of the next day as well. A spokesperson for the Ministry of Justice has just released this statement. They say the crisis in our prison system this government inherited is such that basic information about individual cases can take unacceptably long to reach ministers. But I'll just say it took a week. Right, anyway. On entering the House, facts were still emerging about the case and the DPM had not been accurately informed of key details, including the offender's immigration status. No media story about the individual case was yet in the public domain and it was and remains subject to a live police investigation. The Deputy PM was asked questions about the release of an asylum seeker, as was confirmed after PMQs by the Home Office the individual was not an asylum seeker. The Deputy PM waited until after PMQs and further facts had emerged before making a statement. Can I just say, sorry, that the latest development, again, I will emphasise, reported in the Times, is that he was asked to go back to the House of Commons and refused because he thought it would be, quote, career suicide.